it might be time for me to address this area under the bay window. When we first moved here, it was all catmint and it was overgrown and it smelled terrible. It was just not a nice thing. And then now we have all this vinca that's been growing up. This is cool sometimes, but I've heard that in some places it's invasive, and I think this might be one of those places. Everything that was still alive when we moved here was something like that, something that doesn't need to be taken care of. So what I'm thinking is I need to remove all of this. This is a mum that I threw in here last year. It's looking great, but I can move that to the front. There's another mum right there. Most of the stuff needs to go. This is daffodils. All the daffodils are moving to the orchard around the fruit trees. This is probably too sunny for the hostas, so I have a place I can move those. Otherwise, it just needs to go. I think I'm going to lay some cardboard down back there so that we don't grow anything. And then I bought some daisies to kind of fill in here. I think they're going to be almost tall enough to see them from the window. Well, probably not. That looks about 3 feet. The daisies are about 24 inches tall at full height. And then I got some Veronica, and then I'd really like some statuary right here. I don't have any statuary, but I'd really like one. And then maybe expand this brick walkway a little bit, maybe to a 3rd brick, because this is a great way to get from the porch to the front of the house. And instead of lining it with these hostas, I've got a low ground cover. So I'll do all of that right here on that side of the brick, and then we'll worry about this at a later time. I almost cleaned out over there, and I've got a little collection. There's a mum, there's some hostas, there's the vinca. There are as many daffodils as I could reach. They're buried super deep. And also, those little round things are the seed pods to some grape hyacinths. So those will go together in the orchard. This task is going to be to rake out a lot of this soil and mulch. It's been built up over time and it's a little excessive. So I'm gonna get down an inch or so, and then I'll put some cardboard down. The first part about using cardboard as a weed suppressant is pulling off the tape. You really do need to pull all the tape off. But once that's off, you have this really great, naturally decomposing weed suppressant. Hopefully these will help next year with the insane early spring weeds that I was pulling for hours. Okay, again, a tiny bit of progress. I just put a little bit of soil on top so that it'll hold it down. I'm just gonna cover with mulch when I get some. And then I have this whole open space right here for my daisies, Veronica, future statue, and then that little ground cover. Here's Boomhauer being extremely helpful. Thank you so much. Sir, can you move maybe? I need to move this. Here you go. Here you go, right there. His pride is wounded. There you go, there's your box right there. No. Okay, the daisies are the typical Shasta daisy, and they need to be about 18 inches apart. So I'm gonna crowd those just a little bit and kind of make like a half moon here. That's pretty even. And then let's get the Veronica in here. I guess about even with that second one. This is the stand-in for a future statue or something. And then the last thing I have is I only have 3 of these. And I think I might just put them down this way. See how that would go, just right here. But these are a real low grower, only 4 to 6 inches tall. And this is the one that was called Snow in the Summer or something, but Cerastium tomentosum. I'll put these kind of pointing toward the yard this way. They need to be how far apart? 12 to 18 inches apart. Okay, there we go. Here's our new bay window bed. We got everything in the ground. Looking really good. Here's the ground cover. I decided to not put it quite as close to the other things as I had planned. I didn't have as much space. And I've actually decided to continue this path on this side, so I have plenty of space for those things to get big. I'm gonna come back with some mulch as soon as I get some, probably next week. And this should be all set to just grow all summer and look gorgeous. The sun did come out and it's getting kind of warm, so all of these things that I've been collecting, I need to put them in their place. Starting with this mum going in the front bed near the front porch. And you're probably gonna think I'm crazy for what I'm doing with these vincas, and it's also what I've been doing with the daylilies that I pull out. And all I'm doing is this. It rains here so much, and these have such an easy time growing that I'm not even gonna bother to dig a hole. These guys are really easily adapted to any space, as are those. And you can see some of the vinca that I planted last year is doing just fine. So you see all of these daylilies right here? I did exactly the same thing. I didn't even dig a hole. I just threw them in a spot where I wanted them to grow. And they will do just fine. This is just a kind of shady spot. It gets a little sun, as you can see now. But I'm doing daylilies, vinca, and a few of the hostas that I come across. That one got eaten by somebody. Anyway, someday this might look like it makes sense, but for now, it's just my dumping ground for extra plants. The daffodil bulbs that I dug up are going to get a much different treatment than the other plants that I just threw in the corner. I'm in our little orchard, and what I've decided to do is circle each, I don't know if you can see that, is circle each of our fruit trees with a ring of daffodils. I tried some of this in early spring this year, and they came up, they bloomed, and they looked gorgeous, and I can't wait for the entire orchard to be ringed? To be dotted with daffodils in the spring. The other advantage to this is that burrowing creatures and things that like to eat the bark of fruit trees don't actually like the smell or taste of a daffodil. So this is actually offering a little bit of protection from those creatures, like moles, voles, and other little tiny rodents that would like to do that. Now I dug out half a ring around this cherry tree because I saw that there were already some on that side. So I must have run out when I got to this tree. So I dug out a ring. This isn't quite deep enough typically for daffodils, but we're gonna be building up the soil over time, so I think it'll be fine. And I'm pretty sure these ones were also planted pretty shallow. You can see that I've planted them almost touching around the entire ring that I dug. And I'm gonna cover these over, and then I'm gonna put some cardboard here because we're gonna bring mulch into the whole orchard very soon. Here's my next one. This is an apple tree. Now I know that this is not a daffodil, so I'm gonna hold off on planting these. These are not gonna deter any rodents, and they're probably something delicious. So I'm gonna put all the bulbs that I find in my garden beds in this orchard, in between the trees, but not in this ring of daffodils. I got the inspiration to fill the orchard with bulbs from one of my favorite gardeners, Monty Don. His orchard is absolutely full in the early spring of gorgeous tulips and daffodils and all sorts of things. And so that's kind of the look I'm going for here. Well, I made it almost all the way around. You can see those laying out right there. I have about a foot that didn't get any daffodils, but that's okay. And then I did see this. This is actually a tulip. You can tell because of its very broad leaf. And then one grape hyacinth did get in there. That is a really big bulb for a grape hyacinth. So I'll just cover these over. And this is how I'm covering them. I'm just putting the sod right back on top, upside down. To plant the smaller bulbs, like the grape hyacinths and some other things, I've got, let me show you, namely these pretty little white ones called Star of Bethlehem. I'm going to use this tool called a dibber. Donnie made me one year, and then he also bought me this shorter one, and I use both of them all the time. I love them. So I think I'm just gonna start here and just start poking a hole and put the bulb in the hole, just barely covering it. Okay, here goes. So I'm just poking a hole, and then some of these are really big. That one's really big, so I'm just kind of shoving it in there. This will get mowed over a few times, most likely. This year, I'm dropping it right in. But those that live should add to our beautiful floral meadow here in between our trees. Ooh, that one is too big. So for the bigger ones, I got my sharp spade, and I can just stab into the ground a little bit. There we go. Is that even big enough? Nope. It's gonna have to actually be a hole. I have to be really careful. Oh, look at that beautiful worm. I have to be really careful with how much time I take moving these heritage plants. I love them and I want to preserve them, but this could easily take all of my time and energy because there are so many. So the least effort, most reward is what I'm looking for here. And this one has a whole bunch of little babies. Those can either be planted together or separately.